Hello and welcome back. This is Rook, and I believe this is part 11 of my Let's Play Pokemon Yellow. So last time we got Gara, the Sandshrew, and we are just raising him at this point. And we also encountered our first Team Rocket member. So that was something. Team Rocket is just sort of there. I really enjoyed replaying some of these old games just to see Team Rocket and not really worrying about the Rockets too much. It's more of just spending my time raiding their base and taking their stuff and laughing at them. Because really that's why I play Pokemon. It's not because I'm like, I want to become a Pokemon master. No, I play Pokemon because I want to beat up Team Rocket. Because it's always fun just have where else you can have a mob and you can just go in single-handedly like a one-man army and decimate their base. Not many other games where you can do that. Well, not many other kids games anyways. So something I been seeing a lot of is more commercials for stuff on YouTube. Things for there were a lot of commercials for this thing called Harmon Quest, which I believe is the creator of I think it was the creator of Rick and Morty. If I remember correctly, he was pretty much just playing Dungeons and Dragons with some other, I guess, celebrities. I'm not sure, but I remember watching that series on YouTube actually, and before I moved to CISO, because they keep there's just a ton of advertising for CISO right now. But I remember seeing it on YouTube, someone uploaded the videos and stuff. So I watched the series, I watched all of it in a day, and I was like, oh wow, this is pretty funny actually. It's surprisingly interesting how much fun you can have watching people play Dungeons and Dragons. Especially somewhat funny improv people. So I think if I remember correctly, I know that not Achievement Hunter, but some of the people from Achievement Hunter and Rooster Teeth are also they've also started playing Dungeons and Dragons a while back. But I was looking into it because I'm like, okay, well, I watched season 1 some earlier this year, really early into the year, and I was just like, all right, well, is there a season 2? Because I looked for it earlier and couldn't find it. And it looked right before filming this one. I was like, oh, it was just something that was in the back of my head that kept nagging me. So I was like, alright, well, let's go look it up. And I just saw that they were greenlit for season 2, I think. Supposed to come out later this year, but I don't know. You can't really always trust the internet with information. Sometimes, there was a it's really nice to have that they would have a season 2 for it, but there was a series a while back. There was an anime that I watched called I think it was Gargantuan on the Verizon or something. I think the Japanese Susui no Gargantua, and that was a really fun series. I really liked it a lot. It got a little more serious near the end than the beginning, but that was fine. But, I watched the series, and then they made an OVA, and I watched the OVA, and I was like, this is good. And then there was an extra episode, and I was like, okay, no. I don't like where this is going. And then they released, information that they're like, oh yeah, season 2 is gonna come out. I'm like, what? Why? Season 1 ended fine. I don't know why you needed a season 2. And apparently, I was not the only person that thought this. And so, this anime came out a couple years ago. I think I was a freshman in college at the time. So then that's 4 years ago. So I watched it, and it was funny because the first 2 episodes came out in the same week. So I watched the first episode, and I watched the second episode came out right when I finished watching the first episode. And I was like, dude, awesome. And then I was like, alright, well, where's the third episode? I'm like, okay, well, if it came out this week, it's probably the third episode is going to come out next week, right? Come around next week, didn't show up. There was no third episode. I was like, what? What's going on? And I was like, oh, because these two episodes came out the same day. So that must mean like maybe the third episode will come out in the third week and not like right afterwards, and that's exactly what happened. But I watched it and I was like, okay, yeah. Some things in life you don't need more of. You don't need a second season for. And like that was just one of them. You know, it was like the whole premise of the story was humans, like I guess humans go into space essentially. And what happens is they're fighting these sort of squid creatures, or there's like alien life form and stuff. And then one of the guys, like the whole military, there's like a whole military like new super weapon that they created, and so like, you know, it's humans in space, not like, I guess Earth was. Like, you learned at the very end of the episode that Earth was lost. Like they lost. Like it's not like it got taken over by aliens. Let me just switch out Gara with Clefairy and train Clefairy up a bit. But like they went into space because I guess the planet was. They went into this place. They never explained really why in the beginning. You learn why later, but they went into space and then they got lost in space and had to live in space. You know, stuff like that. But and then what happens is like you follow like this one soldier, and what they do is like, you know, it's like between battles and stuff, and he's like. You just pretty much just follow this one soldier, and in the very first episode, the humans have like this super weapon, as I said earlier, and they try to they have this sort of like plan for how they're gonna attack this alien race. Goes south, and then he during like the hyperdrive or something, he isn't able to get to the ship where the hyperdrive is, because I guess he's in like a mech essentially, and then he crash lands on Earth and goes into a coma for like 6 months. Or essentially, it's not really a coma; it's more like stasis, because they pretty much just, the soldiers pretty much just like live inside their mech suit, because it sort of like, you know, it works as like both like it works as like pretty much like a bed and armor essentially. So then eventually he lands on like the current day Earth, which is not our current Earth, because this all happens in the future. So it's like 1,000 years or so in the future Earth, and instead of having like islands, we all live on ships, like ships that are like interlocked together. And then we have like the world is like, I guess 99% water or something. It's really beautiful, but it's also like, well, you better hope you know how to swim, and this is very random. Why is there a Paris in this? That's just random. What's this bug doing here? Get rid of this. I don't want you. But yeah, I mean, it was just like, you know, just some things in the world where you don't need more of. Like, one season was all we needed, and then we don't need any more of it. But there are like other ones, like Angel Beats. I wish there was more of that. I would have loved to see Angel Beats go to, if it was like a 24 episode series. But I know that there were like some like budget cuts and stuff, so it went to 13 episodes instead. Even then, that was like pretty good amount. But like, and also like, what other animes like? There's quite a few of those like slice of life, or the ones that try to like make you feel something that like you don't need any more of. The story is the story. Like, two that I can think of right off the top of my head are Erased and Your Lie in April. It was, you know, that's all we needed. We didn't need more of Your Lie in April. We just needed what we got. Oh, Wild Clefairy. What do you know? Mine's stronger than yours. But like, you know, that was enough of that. Like, Your Lie in April ended at, like, it was a very awkward series because it was I don't remember how many episodes it was, but it wasn't like, 26 or something. It was like in the middle. It was like 18 episodes, I think. But it ended like just so well. Like, it just, it didn't really care about like what others. I think it just went at its own flow. It ended when it needed to, and that was that. And it was just so refreshing to watch. Even though it also was like super sad ending, but it wasn't really. Sort of like knew the ending already. Not only because I read the thing, but I was like, I just got that feeling. I don't want to spoil it too much, so because it's like, it's one of those things where I'm like, this is an anime everyone should watch once. Sort of like the three ones I'm thinking of, like, that are just really like people should watch are like Erased, Your Lie in April. If I wanted to put a third one, I would say like Anohana, like the flower we saw the other day. That one is a pretty like tearjerker ones. These are all like tearjerkers. I know that recently they made like they made a movie for, what was it called? A Silent Voice, and I was like, that's really cool. They made a movie for it. Awesome. Because I didn't read the whole. I read the. I know how that one ends. I read the initial beginning of it, and I also read. So I read the one shot that like it was based off of. So because there's a manga for it, and then they made it into a movie, sort of like. Actually, a bunch of stuff, but I watched I didn't watch the movie yet. I haven't seen the actual movie yet, but I read like the parts that I really cared about. So like I read the initial one-shot manga, and then they released the the longer manga, like the actual like story part of it. And then I read that. I read like part of it. I didn't read all of it. And then they made a movie for it, and I'm just like, it's one of those movies where I'm like, I want to gather all my friends and we should just all watch it together, and it will be amazing. The problem is my friends are all busy, and I don't think that is likely. I think my mom like recently also came back from Taiwan, and then my cousin was like, oh, we should watch this anime movie, but she's not really into the anime stuff. And I heard about it, and I was like, yeah, you should have watched it. This is like a really, really good one. I mean, I understand, like, a lot of anime movies aren't. People don't like paying for it because it's like, it's not as long. It's not, why pay for an hour and a half when I can pay for 2.5 and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't like that movie is something that just, people should watch it, and you'll be better for watching it. Obviously, like with anime, there are the ones that are like classics, like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is one of the ones where I'm like, it can stand the test of time. And then there are also the ones that are like, cult classics like Cowboy Bebop that people love to this day. And like Ghost in the Shell, But there are just like, there are still some that are just, you need to watch it at least once. And like, normally those are like anime movies, but I feel like if I was to choose one, it'd be like Your Lie in April. That's the one that everyone should, in their lifetime, watch it once at least. This is also just my opinion. But yeah, it was just something that I absolutely enjoyed. So yeah, I think I'm coming up on the end of this episode, or this part at least. Not sure what I'm going to do ahead. I don't think there's too much ahead. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna. I might go back and heal and then like plow right through, but yeah, I'll figure that part out in a bit. See you guys later.